Hello, and welcome to Virtual Investor Conferences. My name is John Viglotti, and on behalf of OTC Markets, as well as our co-host, Alpha Transform Holdings and Blockchain Wire, we're very pleased you joined us for our next live presentation from Alpha Transform Holdings. Please note you can submit questions for the presenter in the box to the left of the slides, and you can also view today's presenting company's availability for one-on-one meetings through the Scheduled Meetings tab found on the conference platform. At this point, I'm very pleased to welcome Enzo Villani. He's the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Alpha Transform Holdings. Welcome back, Enzo.
Hey, thanks, John. It's glad to be back. I can see that this is the actual web, casting service that we used at Nasdaq too. From what you had mentioned, it's very effective. And thank you. All right, so let's get started. So, my name is Enzo Villani. I'm the actual chairman and CEO. I'm going to go through this cautionary statement slide real quick. All right, that's done. So what is Alpha Transform Holdings? So the vision of this business is that I came across the actual digital asset space in 2014. I thought it was interesting. I bought Bitcoin, but I didn't really understand what was happening. Like, I believed in the Bitcoin idea. I thought it was a powerful idea, and I wanted to be in it. When I started looking at Ethereum and I started looking at the technologies behind it, and the fact that blockchain was pretty much the most efficient clearing and settlement system in the world, and working in the market systems as long as I had done, where I worked for Nasdaq for about 7 years, and then I also worked and actually kind of advised other firms on the consulting side, built some of the actual largest roll-ups in the space like DF King. What I realized was that technology spend could change radically with the tokenization of all asset classes, and even taking it down to small startups and new ideas and new ways to actually have asset classes. And it was an amazing epiphany. And I really focused on, well, let's build a company. I actually contacted Michael Turpin, who we'll get into him, but he basically 47% of the altcoin market cap was tied to him in 2019. I basically started working with Michael, and I started to really learn about this business. So when I launched my company, I said, you know what? I want to invest in these companies, and then I want to give them products and services and advisory. The advisory came out of the fact that being a market systems person, being a former NASDAQ person, M&A, IPOs, the public company markets, even though these are not a security, there's a lot of different parts of this that are tied to the concept of a frictionless transaction. So we have three product lines. One is definitely investing in companies. We give them the actual kind of financial products and services, which I'll go into more. And then third, we also give them advisory. Like, some of the projects that we're advising include actually Shiba Inu, which is really the first meme coin that was started by millions of people. And now they have a team of actually developers. They have their own blockchain. They're doing identity products. They're doing banking products. They're working with MasterCard. I mean, there's a bunch of opportunities, and we're advising those folks to kind of bridge the gap between the cryptocurrency world and the traditional financial world. So who are our customers? When I first started the fund, I started this off as just a fund. I was and the concept was bring in some basic LPs. Let's take this slowly, and let's build up something that we know will do well and also be very compliant. Even though that there was a minimum amount of actually regulations being set forward, we basically applied our own sets of policies in terms of service inside the company in order to help manage that. So, but what we realized was that the issuers of these digital assets, like any company going through any formation or any growth period or anything that they're working on, they needed help. So we do capital investments. We also do OTC. We do research coverage, which is not guaranteed. I'll get more into our research coverage group, and really that's our like shining, beacon for our firm. We also, of course, work with accredited investors, funds and family offices. All of the LPs in the funds now are one of those three things. We have the crypto hedge fund and the multi-strat hedge fund. We have the fundamental research, and then of course we have these index products, which I'll also go into. And then the third bucket is we are advising institutional investors, investment banks, registered investment advisors. So we are seeing that the advisory part of the business of the TradFi or the Wall Street side of the business, they're getting more and more involved. They see the Bitcoin ETF, they see the the GBL, which is I know that was mentioned actually earlier on, which is a basket of tokens, or actually cryptocurrencies, the top larger ones being put into almost like an ETF structure. And there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of opportunity, but there's also 50,000 tokens being launched a day. And, it's everything from a meme coin of a penguin to a real world asset that's backing the actual private credit and allows private credit to be tradable almost like a bond. And if you look at the bond market has never really been that efficient. This can make the bond market extremely efficient because they're complicated contracts. So we believe that these three market participants need to be serviced in a way that's much more integrated than what's going on now. So let's just start with the funds. So we invest via two funds. I won't go into details about the funds. If you're interested in investing with us or being one of the LPs, you have to be accredited. This is not for retail. So that's why I will not go through any of the actual details. But there's the Web3 fund, which means we invest in both the private equity or venture equity, seed, Series A, and we also do actually purchase tokens that are the OTC, and we do have an offshore type of component for some of that. We had 11 unicorns in that first fund. It was started in 2020. We had 11 companies go over $1 billion valuation, either on the equity side or on the token side. We've done quite well, and it's again fundamentally research driven. We believe that quantitative models in this space are limited to certain types of trades, not really for this type of investing, but we're looking for the undercovered. We're looking for the smaller ones, the ones that are going to be the next unicorn. The other fund that we just started in March of last year is the Alpha Liquid Fund. This is just more liquid. We don't have any venture equity, any private equity in that fund. We will not invest any of that money into actually private equity. It's a lot of OTC, some lending, again, to issuers. These are companies that are building something. Successfully traded. Okay, so these are. I'm sorry, a question came in. It surprised me. These are certain things that that we can talk about. I will talk about what makes a good example of a token that trades well. That's a good business. But again, it's all about fundamental research, and really it's about access. We have a tremendous amount of access through our network. I mean, Michael Turpin was named the godfather of crypto on CNBC. I worked with Michael at Transform Strategies for 3 years before taking this on. And then Michael came into the business as a GP. He's on the board now, and he actually seeded the Alpha Liquid Fund. And you can see a bunch of our portfolio companies down actually kind of below. That's a selection. We've invested in over 100 companies. Okay, so this is what we hang our hat on, the research. I've been involved on Wall Street since a very long time. I started on the block equities trading desk at Shearson, actually Lehman Brothers back in like the early 90s. And one thing that I always realize is fundamental research is really the key to really looking at companies, and when there's this kind of opacity issue where it's hard to get information. So when you're when you're investing in seed and Series A rounds, the information rights are very limited, and they're not public companies. So one of the things that the research did for us is it allowed us to conduct research or use our due diligence questionnaire as a research tool also. And it entices the company to give us more information because they want to be covered. So we are completely independent. We're not gotcha type of research analysts. We are just trying to explain what these companies actually do, because some of them it's very technical and very complicated. And we rarely do like large macro ones. Like the only one that we recently did was the Bitcoin bull cycle, because the Bitcoin bull market we knew it was going to start. And I think we put out the brief on October 23rd and like started like the next day. So we were pretty good on timing. That was all based on like Michael Turpin and us working on something called the 4 Seasons of Bitcoin, which Michael is now turning into a book called The Bitcoin Super Cycle, which will be out by July of this year. And then the other piece of it was the media piece of it. So we have now a partnership with the folks who are working with Bloomberg and Fox Business News to actually start to create video content as well as online and television. We then also send out that research. It's curated embargo list of 2,200 family offices and funds. If you want to apply for that list, you can. We do KYCU at some level, not a deep KYC, but we need to know who's getting this research first. And then we have reach of about 250 million people via blockchain wire and about 100,000 followers on social media outlets. But again, we have a podcast, and we are trying to use our podium and the research to help educate the entire marketplace on the world of digital assets and what it is actually really about. Because if all you hear about is meme coins and Pepe and all this other nonsense, that to me, they're like digital toys or like digital art. So it's like trading a Beanie Baby on eBay. That same technology is also being used to bring in billions of dollars into a kind of tokenized asset class for the private markets, or taking actual kind of securities like equities and allowing people around the world to trade with minimal kind of commission fees because they can purchase it as a token instead of a stock. I mean, these are really, really interesting ideas. Again, it's a technology being applied into multiple areas. But let's go back to the financial products. So the other thing that we realized coming out of the research group is we started, we're good at picking. We're pretty good. We're not going to get it always right. That's impossible. But we're pretty good at it. And one of the things that we did was we invested in the AI tokens in 2020 and 21. And one of them is actually Singularity Net. A second one is Fetch. Third being, actually Ocean. Those are 3 that we had invested early on. Those 3 are merging into one token. And the concept is decentralized AI. And the reason why you want decentralized AI in a centralized kind of internet world, where the internet has now been kind of taken over by large corporations, is you want to have AI that's flexible and not being tied to one company like Facebook or like Meta or Google and so on. Not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that this is another type of alternative. That index did 700% in a year. It beat every single major thing. The other 2 ones were Rising Star. Again, we look at Rising Stars. And then the mid-cap layer 1. If you don't know what a layer 1 actually protocol is, all of these different protocols like the Cardanos of the world and the Binance chain, all those are layer 1 protocols. So we did one for the mid-cap actually layer 1, and all of them beat Bitcoin, ETH, and the S&P 500. So this is one of the reasons why I'm on this call. We are building internally a platform that's similar to the things that I built when I was in the TradFi space, where I looked at the issuer services side. I looked at what the access was for traders and for investment banks and for RIAs, and I was like, What we really need to do is build a centralized platform that can communicate across these channels. So if you ever looked at things like the Market Intelligence Desk at NASDAQ, or what they did at the NYC, it's similar, or any of those products as one of the issuers, you would see products that I've worked on and built. And what's interesting is we realize internally at our shop that I'm looking at 12 to 15 different sites a day, and we need to be able to execute quickly. So we are going to build this out, and we've actually partnered because we think this is a much bigger opportunity. So there's 4 areas that we're really focused on. One is the data fragmentation is limiting the growth of digital assets into finance, into every part of our world. All key market participants that we deal with, those 3 sets of customers, are really better off served if we can aggregate them on one platform with different points of view. Third, we believe that there should be a decentralized research platform. So I don't know how old some of the folks here are on, but if you remember first call, we think that there should be a decentralized version of that. We just want to be a part of it. We want to start it. We're not going to own it. It's going to become a DAO. We want it where we could put our research up there, others and others can too. And then we want to start to look at experienced blockchain economists, like start to have a sector or an educational approach to having a blockchain economist. So blockchain economists or cryptocurrency economists are different than an equities economist, right? There's a different role here, and there are some different formulas being actually created right now by our research group and others. The last piece, or one of the second largest pieces of the product side, is the media side. So I acquired Blockchain Wire. I was a co-founder. Michael Turpin had founded it. This is one of the deals that we did to create Alpha Transform. And we're the #1 press release service in crypto. We use the traditional wire services, plus we have our own special wire service, customers and partners, 50 plus, actually crypto publications. And we're also working on a Bloomberg and Fox Business News television package that will allow us to actually put out content via that channel. Again, we have to work out, we're working on the details, and we have our first 3 customers that are looking at the package. We also are building an AI assistant for investor relations called MarketMind, which is really for TradFi investor relations, but we're going to apply it to the digital asset space. And we're also working on things that will help, you can leverage things to write with AI, or use kind of AI agents in order to have them hosted in actually Telegram groups and Discord groups and so on, because this is where we believe the market is going. Okay, so the last piece, and then I'm going to answer questions. The last piece is we do advisory. We're known as one of the top 5 kind of digital asset advisors in the world. In fact, Michael Turpin was named, I think, 1 or 2 just himself. And if you look at the group here, the reason why I put logos that are more associated to both a mixture of TradFi or the traditional world as well as the crypto world, because I want you to understand that a lot of people in our space now have a background and they're migrating over. 1, 2, we are having people, we are involved in things like the Shiba Inu, project, which has everything from like a metaverse. And think about this for a second. Market systems for the metaverse is a market system for the exchange. It's a market system for institutional, retail, customers, gamers. So when you start thinking about what's happening in blockchain, you have to understand the flexibility as well as the frictionless transaction. And that's what makes governments nervous. But if you really look at blockchain, the fact that it's kind of immutable, cannot be fudged with, has no centralized authority if it's decentralized properly, you are looking at probably the most cleanest audit trail of everything being done in the world at all times in live, and it's live. Now, the identities can be hidden, but then you could KYC identities via a mechanism that doesn't have to expose those identities, but also lets the person trade within those sandbox or trade or go buy a purchase of something in a metaverse. So there's the metaverse economy will only exist with blockchain. The AI economy will only exist really with blockchain if you want it to be decentralized, because you need these frictionless open source rails in order to execute this. This is what we advise on. We help companies come up with, what is the best way to do it. And then, of course, we have like the accountants and the bankers and so on and so forth that we can put them in touch with, depending on what they have to do. But really, the advice is about the corporate strategy or the DAO strategy or the token strategy. What are they trying to accomplish, and why do they actually need to do this? All right. So we are very, very focused, and we have a great track record there too. So we've done a lot in both the public equity markets, private markets, the crypto markets. So we've been around the block, and I think that's one of the most important pieces right now. This could become a scalable type of solution, but it will only do this if we are there, kind of starting it up. So one of the things that we did was we realized that we need a technology team in-house that is dedicated to us. So we partnered with CloudBench and a company called Arhazi. Just backgrounds. Tom Riker has been, I've known him for 20 something years. He's worked for every major company in the space. And then Ashichiro, he was the head of actually like AI at Deloitte and then PwC. So these two folks are working with us to build out our actual Ubiquity dashboard and all of the other products that we are currently working on. The companies on the bottom, we are partnering with. We also invested in those companies, not actually OpenAI. I mean, we do own stock. I own stock, actually personally in Google, but we're looking for seed stage companies. So we do have them listed because they're part of the ecosystem, but really the focus is on decentralized AI, decentralized platforms. And then the last piece here is we are really focused on, I've been doing buy and build strategies since I started in almost every business. So we purchased BlockchainWire. We believe a lot of the groups of companies that we're either going to integrate with or partner with and are partnering now with will be integrated into our holding organization. The idea is to create, the 1+1 kind of equals 3 model where we do acquisitions, we manage a good integration. I have a lot of experience managing those types of basic integrations where I can usually yield a 30% upsell, cross-sell. A good example is BlockchainWire. Once we acquired BlockchainWire, their sales have actually tripled. That's better than actually 30%. And they're growing at a significant rate. And now we're expanding it to new products and services. So the idea is to create a strategic solution shop that can help both with a dashboard software product as well as media and actually distribution. And then lastly, the advisory piece to help shepherd it through the process. This is for really kind of accredited investors only. We are considering a regulation crowdfunding or a tokenized asset in the real world asset class in order to raise this actual 20 million. And the idea is to take the company public at the right time. I managed and worked with many public companies. I understand that the OTC markets could probably be one of our best ways to actually go out there, but I do think that there's an opportunity to create a tokenized equity market, which is already being built in Europe, and that might be another option. So I'll leave it at that. I see actually questions here. I'm going to start to answer them. So the first one is, can you please provide an example of a successfully traded token? What was the goal of the tokenization, and where does it trade? So let's look at decentralized, AI. So there's a problem with the compute structure for AI. You really can't compute on GPUs. So what they're doing is they're saying, I'm going to create nodes, and actually Wire Network, which is one of our companies, has sold nodes. So They're nodes of software, and that software, if you buy the node, you get paid in a reward mechanism for serving up compute power for AI. So if instead of being a centralized cloud system, you would be utilizing a decentralized cloud system that gives payment back for running that network to all of the participants that are putting up the compute. That tool is already being utilized in companies like Ocean Protocol, Fetch, AI, and SingularityNet. It's very hard. It's a very complicated technology thing to do, and they have to do it in multiple ways. There's also companies that are called DePIN that are also in this world of creating decentralized networks for different operations. So the folks out of Helium created a decentralized DePIN network for IoT. It's a little early. It still exists. There's still a lot of nodes everywhere. But then they went to cell towers, and now they're doing 5G decentralized cell phone company. And you can purchase that phone, I believe, now. I haven't purchased one yet. But basically, you become your own telephone company when you purchase a cell phone on a decentralized network. And by doing so, you are part of that network. So you get a reward for being part of that network also. Those tokens are in economics. They're the kind of economies are running, and people are doing things in those economies. The next question: what is the timeline for the rollout of Biquity? We are moving pretty quickly in sprints. We're building it internally, some pieces of it. We would like to get it out in 6 months or less. And in fact, pieces of it might be coming out even sooner. But we are kind of actively working to get that done in 6 months or less. Can you explain Web3, and are there examples you can share? So Web3 is basically it's almost like the internet back in the kind of original days. So I've been on the internet since 1994. I was one of the internet entrepreneurs. Built some of the first websites for like Citicorp, and with a bunch of folks, and worked on a lot of really kind of early stage projects. Worked on one of the first agencies, and what happened is the consolidation of power in the largest tech companies in the world. In cloud computing, not saying that it's evil or whatever. It's just a fact. Okay, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure Cloud, and Amazon Cloud, Meta AI, Amazon AI. This consolidation of power and actually centralization is a problem, and we think that there's a much better way to do it. So Web3 allows people to live in a world where they can protect their own identity via technology and a actual kind of cryptographic wallet. They can also allow other people to get access to that, but then shut it off. They can get paid for their data. Like everyone knows that really the product that Meta and those companies, we're the product. It's not the features on Facebook or actually Instagram. So the fact is that we're the product, and we're the product being sold to advertisers. So the idea is that why don't you get paid for that too? So in the Web3 world, what everyone's saying to themselves is they want to allow for competition, a true meritocracy of competitiveness across the world in a way that's done a lot differently than the way it is now. You don't need gatekeepers. I mean, it's showing that gatekeepers in our world really don't always help, right? They do help at some level, but we have to be cognizant of the fact that people want a frictionless economy, and there's millions of people that are not banked, and we think that Web3 can actually get us there. So, like a good idea for Web3 is just a wallet, a hard wallet. You don't want to hold your money in a bank. You don't want to hold your money in gold bars. You can hold it in a wallet, and you have every right to do that. So we believe in that, and we think it's fine. We just don't understand how we got here, where everybody feels like they have to put their, capital into one of the big banks. So just as an FYI, on our first session, Dan said that 70% of all of the deposits in the world are now controlled by 15 banks, and that trend keeps on going. I don't know if that's a good idea. All I know is that when very few people have a lot of control, that creates a problem for the rest of the people. How can I invest with Alpha Transform? There's multiple ways. I would say just contact us. We're only taking kind of accredited investors now, but we are coming up with new products that would be more for retail. And we do believe in the actual retail investor. We think that why not give you the benefit that all the big banks and the big funds get? That doesn't make any sense to us either. So we're on your side. It looks like we're about out of time. What are a few areas of blockchain and Web3 that you think have the biggest potential growth? So I would definitely say AI, and I would definitely say anything in that sector. But thanks again, everyone, for the time. I know that I probably went over by a minute. Hope you have a great day, and hope the conference was really informative and helpful.